Presumably. All right. Hello there, everybody. This is Chad Nick. Welcome to my channel. I am DM Gastro Gamer, and tonight we are going to be playing, for the first time, at least in my opinion, I got a wonderful book over summer, Mouse Guard, and I am so excited to be playing the Mouse Guard RPG. I have some wonderful people here today with me who are going to be experiencing BrigadeCon game. I think it's one of the last ones in the night, so it's awesome that you guys are still up and hanging around and doing stuff with us. So from, I don't know, however you guys want to do it, if you guys want to go ahead and introduce yourselves, plug whatever channels you guys have, and then we'll sort of introduce your character a little bit, and then we'll sort of go directly into sort of narrative. So how about Lionel? How about you start, bud?
Yeah, perfect. My name's Lionel. I'm half of Two Guys D&D, and tonight I'm going to be playing Sansa Blue Cloak, sorry, and she is a patrol leader for the Mouse Guard.
Mark, you want to go ahead?
Sure. My name is Mark. I don't have a channel, so I won't tout that. I am playing tonight Jarvis, who has a red cloak and is apparently a bit of a badass mouse who lives by the sword and presumably might die by the sword. So we will have to find out, I guess.
Go ahead, Harry.
Hi, I'm Harry. I'm the other half of Two Guys D&D, and this is my first ever BrigadeCon game, so I'm definitely looking forward to it. I'm playing Walton, a little, what's it called, tenderpaw scientist, got a plum-coloured cloak, so he's new and shy and timid and has got a cold.
Hey, I'm Bank Bar on YouTube and Indie of Como on Twitch, and I am going to be playing a guard mouse by the name of Liam, who's from Ferndale, and I believe, am I just which mouse am I? I am.
You are going to be playing Ichard, because that's so Ichard is.
Oh, that's right.
You're
Ichard.
playing. Yeah, you're playing Ichard. So, and he's basically this shield guard tenderpaw.
Oh, he's the
pretty much.
shield
So Liam
guard
is
one.
a tenderpaw. So that's
Right.
what. Yeah, you got your shield in it.
Oh, that's right. I'm the shield guard. Yep, that's it.
Cool.
Seeking to prove himself after a flawed mission. Oops.
Yes, awesome. Okay, so we'll just hop right in here since we're kind of crunched for time a little bit. So I'm gonna go ahead and just start it up. It is the end. It is presumably a couple of years after the Weasel Wars of 1150. You and your fellow Tenderpaws are asked to enter the war room in Lockhaven by the current matriarch, Gwendolyn. She is a fledgling. She looks to the fledgling mice and sighs heavily over her war table, her tail swishing in concern. I suppose you are all aware of why you are here, Tenderpaws. She grabs a small dagger from her hilt and then slams it down on the war table. We were once a great force, a force to be feared, that we would do what was right for all of mousekind. In the wake of the Weasel Wars and the chaos caused by Midnight and his axes, I'm afraid the villages are in a state of concern. A veritable state of unrest lies before us. This is why I ask of you not a simple task. And from the other entry in the war room comes a older, grizzled patrol guard. He is a rather rotund and stout mouse with patchy furs and missing chunks of his ears. Gunther, it's a pleasure to see you again. Perhaps you will want to inform our new recruits about what exactly we're dealing with here. His pauldrons of walnut and tin jingle and clank as he enters the space. Yes, madam. In my time, we had a valiant guard. A guard that mice could be proud of. And now we're all but a bit scattered and wiped from local memory. We are still here, though. Yet the people don't feel safe. It is up to you, new recruits, to go forth and find these lost guard. They may be somewhere out there. We have reason to believe not all of them perished in the wars. And you can see that as he continues to talk about this, he's becoming more and more emotional. His little mouse eyes begin to water slightly. I lost a lot of good men out there amongst those briars, and I don't want to see that happen ever again. Gwendolyn places a hand on his shoulder to soothe the grieving paladin. You see, it is up to you to find them. I fear without them, our stance as a guard in Lockhaven may not have much room to stand on. We have gathered a report that there is a lost guard mouse named Edmund, who is said to be hiding in the northern village of Rustleaf. It is harvest season this time of year, and there will be a number of challenges ahead of you. I do not expect all of you to survive. Fall is a rather tough time this year. But this is the risk you take when you join the Guard. My request to you is that you find Edmund. You negotiate with him and you bring him home by any means possible. We can only pray that he is still alive. And then Gunther butts in, Madam, you also need to be reminded that it is harvest season. Oh, yes, of course. If you may happen upon some pumpkin seed who live in Rustleaf, please make sure that at least one of them makes it back to Lockhaven. We need the food storage before the winters set in again. I will warn you, though. As you get closer north, there are very dangerous creatures near the scent border. I warn you that you need to hurry as fast as you can, for Edmund may not be alive by the time you find him. And so there is your mission, guys. How do you receive it, and what do you wish to do going forth?
Sansa listens intently as the Lady Gwendolyn speaks. She always takes her missions seriously because she knows not only her life, but the life of all the other mice in her patrol rely on that. She's their beacon. She needs to be their guide, their reason. solace when needed. She takes a very tentative step forward and manages a bow. As the Lady Gwendolyn wishes, so shall I do. And she takes another step back, looking to the other mice of the guard, with a little bit of apprehension, not knowing what they might say.
Jarvis steps forward immediately with his hand on the hilt of his sword and indicates that I am ready to live for my lady.
Yeah, I didn't hear what you said, Jarvis.
Oh, is this better?
We know you're ready to live for your lady.
Yep.
Yes, he was ready to live or die for his lady.
Yeah, Sansa, upon hearing that, a small smile crosses her face. Of many of the mice of the guard, Jarvis has been her confidant, the one that she's always gone to when she herself has started to question her own judgment. So she gives him this little sideline glance and smile upon hearing his words.
After those two speak up, then Icard just nods his head very vehemently and puts his hand on his sword in the hilt.
Walton reaches up with a little paw and sniffles at his nose, and I guess we best be off then. Want to keep Edmund waiting, and sort of shrink back inside of his fur.
Oh, Harry, that's so awesome, man. That's so great. I love that little portrayal of Walton having that cold and that sniffles. It's great. But yeah, as you all begin to leave, the three of you, Jarvis, Walton, and Ishard, you leave, and you get ready to be prepared for the oncoming trek, because it's a long walk from Lockhaven all the way to Rustleaf. But before Sansa leaves the main court, Gwendolyn taps her on the shoulder with a small, grayish hand. If I may, Lady Sansa.
Certainly, Your Grace. And she again does a very quick little bow. What is it the Lady Gwendolyn would wish of me?
There are reports about this, Edmund. I want you to check on him. He was once a noble mouse guard, but he hasn't been back in months, so either he's dead, I fear, or he has betrayed us. He has become a traitor to his crown, and he must be shown as a spy. Bring me evidence of this, and you will be rewarded handsomely. But do not tell the others. They're tender paws, and I don't want them to worry their little selves about the possibility of traitorous mice in our ranks. Remember what happened last time with Midnight? Horrible situation.
Yeah. At the mention of Midnight's name, Sansa, the whiskers on the left side of her face start to just twitch, and she knows that they're twitching, and she's embarrassed by this, that the Lady Gwendolyn would see this. She nods and quickly finds her words. Well, as you wish, but certainly Edmund would not betray us. You can't believe that that's true.
I very much would like to think it's not true. But in recent years, especially after the Weasel Wars, many of our fallen comrades have gone missing or haven't returned to Lockhaven. They know where we are, yet they refuse to return. And I think that it has something to do with either them betraying us, or they've been lost for so long they don't know how to get back. So treat it with decorum and do not head in headstrong, but do what you must to bring him home.
As you wish, my lady. I will do all that I can. And Sansa would bow one last time before turning and starting to leave. And as she leaves, the Lady Gwendolyn does not see the look that passes her face. It's a look of dour, fear and dour tidings. She has this sinking feeling in her gut, not only because that Edmund might be a traitor, but also because the Lady Gwendolyn has asked her to keep a secret from her close friend Jarvis. That's the last thought that she has as she leaves the war room, ready to join her companions.
Awesome. So here's where we will continue. We're going to speed things up a little bit. You head out toward Rustleaf. It's been a couple of days, and you've managed to do well so far. Nothing has been too detrimental. You've made it past Wild Seed. And even into Dark Water. But as you begin to make your way towards Rustleaf, crisp and chill winds with heavy clouds loom in the sky as you head to Rustleaf. The crunch of leaves and dirt impede your way as you traverse the slightly muddy terrain. It sticks between your fur and mats you all around. The rains of the season have already begun, and the ground is slightly sticky against your fur. You must stay above ground as much as possible. So I want you guys to imagine that you are in this forest setting and that you are traversing through, and to your right there is an inlet sort of lake, and then to your left is nothing more than like there's a land bridge that keeps going through Long Pine and up to Port Sumac. So if you continue to go to Long Pine, you could do that safely. But it's thicker brush and possibly more animals. If you take the water, there's risk of drowning. So how would you like to proceed going forward?
Yeah, Sansa stands, so I guess it would be several inches, not feet, several inches from her companions. She's looking over, she's poring over this map that she's looked at countless other times just in their short journey. She already knows this map like she knows her own home. but yet she looks at it. It gives her some sort of solace. She looks at the path before her. Shall we take the road? Shall we take the lake? Or should we go the longer way? Well, Lady Gwendolyn said this was important. We must find others. What shall I do? She thinks to herself. She turns and... Smile up, little mouse.
Your own little mouse.
Yes, I am. He really wants to play mouse guard. So she looks over her shoulder at Jarvis and waves him to her. Because she would seek his advice on what the next step they should do.
I believe that we should make haste. Lady Gwendolyn indicated that time was of the essence, so I think to the water we should go.
Certainly you are right, Jarvis. Your words are always wise to me and assure me. Thank you. And she begins to roll up the map. She tucks it back into her belt, picks her staff back up that she had laid against a fallen stone, and looks to the others. So it is the water we will take. And she starts moving her way towards the edge of this lake.
Walton will sort of grip onto his tail sort of nervously in front of him, sort of twisting it nervously. I'm not great with water, but if that's what you think will be best, I guess I'll follow you. His fur sort of bristles up against the cold, so he looks like a little sort of puffy ball.
I'm following them smartly, but the twitch in the tail gives away my actual opinion about this, how I feel about it.
All right, so what I'm going to say is, in order for you guys to do this, I want you to take a look at your character sheets, and if you have anything that is a sort of pathfinder or a sort of like sailors, if you have a sailing additional task on your character sheet, what you can do is you can combine your skills, sort of, and roll on those skills to then what we'll do is we'll set up a conflict. It's called a journey conflict. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to say, okay, cool, you guys are now in a journey conflict, because in order for you to get across this water, you have to beat this task, this obstacle that's in front of you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay?
But everybody who contributes to it also takes the penalties for loss.
Exactly. So if everybody contributes and then you guys fail, everybody is going to get some sort of repercussion from that failure.
Yes, Sansa is confident. She's a leader. The others look to her. She would not be a good leader if she didn't lead from the front. She would use her skill in pathfinding to help navigate. I imagine we're taking some sort of like shell boat or leaf boat across this
lake.
So
you guys can well, that's something you can do, actually, Lionel. That's something you can actually do.
We could make one.
So you can actually make one. So if there's nothing, if none of you have one, that's actually an obstacle you guys can do to make one.
Oh well, in that case, I would probably use my skill in surviving in the wilds and finding that husk of a larger or maybe a large leaf, nut, and so that's what Sansa would be doing, or that's how I would contribute, I guess.
Yeah, I've got a good skill in survivalist, so I can be helping Sansa do that.
Yep.
Such a
okay.
boat.
Picard has pathfinding, but not the survivalist stuff.
I've got both.
Once we get going.
Yeah.
Jarvis has much better pathfinding.
Perfect.
So two for getting us a boat and two for getting us across.
Sounds like a plan, gentlemen. We will make this happen.
Yep. So I would need then 4 dice being rolled. Okay. And then what would happen is, I think if you get 4 and above, I think this is how it works in burning will games. If you get 4 and above, those are successes. If you get 3 and below, those are failures.
Yeah. It's axes and swords if you get 4 and above, and it's snakes if you get lower.
Yep.
So roll 4 die.
Yeah, roll 4 die.
So who's
if you're getting any additional assistance, since since Jarvis has how much in
I have 5 Pathfinder.
5 in Pathfinder, then
I think I was assisting in survival, right?
And then you were assisting in survival. Okay, cool.
Yeah,
so
I got 4 in survival.
5. Okay, so you guys should be able to do this because you guys should have at least 10 die at this point.
Yep.
Going towards building the boat, and actually surviving the task. So it's 2 tasks that you guys are doing at the same time, pretty much.
Okay, so those are 2 tasks.
One of us rolls 10 die. Is that what happens?
Yeah, no. So you're the leader, right? You are the patrol leader. So if you had the initial, so the way I understand the rules is if you're the initial action person, and then all of your other mouse guard want to attribute and help you achieve this task, like building the boat or whatever, they can offer to help you and then give up their dice, like give their skill set in that particular skill to you, and then that gets you those specific die that you need to achieve that skill, pretty much. It'll give you extra die, like giving you advantage. Essentially, that's giving you advantage to roll those dice.
And isn't it like, it's not the actual dice, it's just one more die, though, isn't it?
It's just one more die. Like, you get one more die per person. So it'd be like, if you have...
the person with the highest survival should be doing the roll, and they'll get one more die by the other survivalist helping them.
Yeah.
Right, exactly.
Walton and I have the same survivals, so...
Okay.
Right, so you roll 5 die because I'm helping you out. Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
Yep.
Here we go, guys.
So,
See
screw this up.
if it floats. Holy moly. All successes.
Oh, okay. So then if it is a awesome success, then could you please... I will start narrating, and then I want you to narrate from there, okay?
Oh, perfect.
I will start the narration, and then I'll have you...
You just muted yourself, Chad.
I did because I wanted to make sure I was on the right part of my page. Like, I had everything kind of, like, planned out where I'm at. So, all right. So, it is a long way to Rustleaf. And though you have a boat now, and you are now on the small inlet and trying to trudge your way through this water, you do expertly. You find a leaf, and you find what looks to be another smaller leaf, and you make a sail, and you've done all of these little crafting things while still keeping an eye out for predators. Boat onto the water. The only downside to this is while you are continuing to slowly caress through this water, the weather takes a bit of a turn. Something you didn't anticipate coming in. You may have succeeded in building that boat, and you may have succeeded going through the water, but the water's about to get choppy. For what was once a simple rain has now become a downpour. All of the streams and creeks around you begin to fill with water, and the muddy ground that you once stepped off of becomes even more... It makes rocks and limbs slippery, and traveling across water becomes more difficult. if you want to make it to the other side of this lake and ravine, you will need to use your survivalist skill one more time to overcome this raging river of water that is now beseeching upon you.
Oh, you just really wanted us to fail. That's really what it is.
Oh, no. Yeah. No. See, that's the thing is Mouse Guard is about like, here, you have this awesome success and you get a chance to do it, but it's challenging your players and keeping them on their toes. So, yay! Now deal with things.
So as the first drops of rain start to fall down, Sansa's gripping tightly the edges of this leaf boat. And then as the drops get heavier and start hitting harder and the water gets rougher, she sees water starting to fill this boat, and she knows it's just a matter of time that it's going to gain too much water, and the likeliness of that some or all of them could drown is fairly high. She immediately yells, "Quickly, bail the water out! The others." Imagine we made some paddles too, so there's maybe like two of them like working the paddles. We must get to the shore quickly. And so I'm gonna let Walton or someone else make the survivalist, but I will aid. That will be me aiding, providing my extra die.
Nice. Okay. Awesome.
Yeah, I can roll. What am I doing? What am I?
You want to do survivalist, or you can roll if you have a higher pathfinder. If you have a higher pathfinder, you could roll Pathfinder 2 to kind of navigate through the waters the best possible path to get to the safest spot.
Well, survivalist is higher, so
okay.
I think that's probably the best. Right, so I get extra die from Sansa. Right, don't fail me now. Oh shit, 2 fell off. I shall reroll. So that is only 2 successes, 3 fails.
Okay, so here's how I will describe this then. You all manage to get in this boat, and you're almost there to the other side of this little ravine, this little inlet. And you can see the muddy shore on the other side. But a small wave of water uplifts the boat and begins to capsize it towards the other side of the lake. So now you are thrown out of the boat, and you begin to claw your way to the other side, either by swimming or clawing your way. You are heading to the other side.
So the side we're supposed to be on, or the side we started on?
Oh, the side you're supposed to go. Luckily, the boat tipped in your favor.
Oh, in our favor. Okay.
Yeah, the boat tips in your favor, but it's completely capsizing, so you're going to have to swim, which could inevitably. And Harry, I'm going to say this: because you were already sick, it's going to make your sickness possibly worse as you're now in this water. Since you're the one that failed, you're going to start feeling a little bit more sick as time goes on.
Is it strange that it's happening in real life right now?
It's perfect.
That's perfect. It's perfect timing.
And you saw the sick part of your character sheet, right? It's right there in the middle.
Yep.
Actually, my
Harry,
guy's clever and tough, but just rolling with the sickness thing.
Oh no, that's fine. But yeah, no. Then if he doesn't have it, there are conditions in this game. Okay, so if for some reason you fail something, especially that badly, what I can do as a DM is then give you a sort of condition that your character now has to deal with throughout the remainder of the game.
Yeah, there's a sick condition.
There is a sick condition, and so.
That's cool.
You would then be sick, and if I can recall, let me take a look at what that does.
I think it says 1 minus 1. You're subtracting 1 die from nature, will, health, and skills. All skills.
Yeah, all skills. So basically, you're just subtracting 1 from yourself. All of yourself.
That's fine. All right. So we're doing rolling to see if we can get away, swim to this shore.
No, I mean, you guys can just narrate that. I'm not going to do skills for every single thing, but when we need it the most, I'll have you guys do them.
Okay.
So,
well, I'll mousy paddle to the surface then. Or
Okay.
To the edge, I mean.
okay. So you guys make it to the edge of this little ravine, and you especially, Walton, are exhausted. You are tired. You begin to sort of cough and hack up the water that you've dealt with in your lungs. But you guys are very close to Rustleaf, and you can tell because the trees themselves start to take on a sort of orange and crimson color.
You don't have to interrupt for that.
Oh, no, you're fine, man. Let me just take a look.
You're muted again, man.
While you guys go ahead and just RP and do some
Yeah.
stuff, I'm going to go ahead and take a look at where the bank
Walton just crawls his way up this muddy shore. He just looks so wet and bedraggled, and sort of shakes himself off, but it does almost nothing. He's just completely drenched. Immediately clutches his tail in front of him again and starts to sniffle and sneeze, as he's already ill, but it's just starting to get worse. That didn't go as planned. Go back to gripping his tail.
Well, Jarvis walks over to Walton and claps him on the back and gives him a look, which is almost a bit of an apology, and says, "Would you like to have my cloak, Walton? I think you may need it more than I do right now."
Oh, that'll be just great. Thank you. He just sneezes and coughs and wraps gratefully your cloak around his shoulders on top of his plum-cladded cloak.
The campfire sure will feel nice later. Dry this right out of us.
Sansa's the last one to pull herself out of the water and up the muddy bank, holding her staff in both hands. She uses it to pry herself up. She immediately checks her belt and has this visible sigh of relief as she finds the orders from Lady Gwendolyn and also the map tucked tightly into her belt. She then quickly counts heads. 1, 2, good. We're all here. She smiles at that, but then she sees Jarvis comforting Walton. She sees him coughing. She hears Eckerd say something about the fire. Yes, we should dry and rest.
I'm sorry, I just heard my name, didn't I?
Yeah, I was just kind of role playing up to where you said a fire would be nice, and Sansa was agreeing with you.
Yeah. But it's probably not time yet, as much as it would be nice to get dry again. Which direction are we supposed to go now?
Sansa obediently, she pulls out her map and rolls it out for you all to see. And she points, I think we are here. And she looks up. Yes, we are here. And we must go here. And she points to where it says Redleaf on her map.
So Rustleaf is north of you guys from right now. So you're already in and close by a rustleaf forest once you see these red and orange leaves that are scattered about the ground and on the sides of this embankment. The other thing that you can notice is that there seems to be a small stream that offshoots from this inlet that seems to be heading in that direction. And just sort of heading toward Rustleaf in general. You get the feeling, though, especially this far north, that if you stay in one place for too long, there are bound to be creatures who are going to notice your little fire or smell the wet fur of a few kindling mice.
So you're saying that it'd be dangerous to stay out. We should probably get to town?
Yeah, so as soon as possible, probably, yeah.
So Sansa would believe that we're closer to Rustleaf than Port Sumac. You're muted,
Do you
Chad.
mean to be muted?
Sorry. Yeah, no. Right now you are banked at Port Sumac. You know you have to head north towards Rustleaf, but that there's a small creek that sort of heads that direction, that off banks from the inlet. You could use that, or you could try to traverse the forest again. The forest actually might be safer for you, especially with the heavy rains that are coming through. The creek may be getting too heavy for you. But it's up to you to go from here.
I continue to look at Sansa for my direction. And Varus.
Well, we could take this stream, or we could traverse the wood. I feel that we should go through the wood. I cannot speak for the rest of you, but I've had enough of water. And almost to accentuate that, she kind of shakes, and water just kind of shakes off her. And imagine it's still raining right now, I'm assuming. So it does little to keep her dry as more rain just kind of wets her gray fur. Are there any of you that disagree with that decision?
Oh, no.
Then we shall head out right now. Weddleton, are you going to be okay to keep up with us?
Yes. Oh, I'll be fine. Don't you worry.
And let go of your tail. It's not very mousely.
Okay. He just lets it droop down next to his paws on his feet. His feet paws. It's all paws. And sort of begins to just rub his little knuckles instead of his tail.
Very well. You all begin to head in the direction of Rustleaf. And things, even though the rains are fairly severe, it's kind of a good thing. Because it's keeping most, if not all, creatures at bay. Most of them don't want to come out during the heavy rain seasons. So what you end up seeing, though, is I would like for one of you to maybe roll me a scout roll. Because while you're out and about, you know that Edmund was supposed to be heading toward Rustleaf, but that's not entirely true.
I have a scout of 5.
Okay,
so I might
perfect.
be the most likely to get it.
If you wanna go ahead and try for it, man, absolutely. Go to town.
One success.
Oh no. Okay. So while you are usually wonderful at scouting, and even though you've lost one eye, you are so good at scouting 9 times out of 10 when you're in Lockhaven season, and it's the first heavy rain season that you've really experienced since your last big mission.
I'm
You
missing an eye.
unfortunately, oh yeah, in your like in your overlay, I don't know if you can see it, but there's an eye patch in your.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So that's what I said when you were like you were having problems in your former mission. There you go.
Mhm.
So you are usually an excellent scout, but on this day it's too moist, and all of the tracks that would have possibly been there from other animals and or other mice are being washed away by this heavy rain. But you continue to traverse through the woods, and then you get to Rustleaf. You finally reach it. It is a small village composed of mostly stone structures that these mice have pretty much crafted. Gourds are actually homes for most of these mice, and you can see that many of them are not outside right now. Not only for the rains, but there happens to be something in their way. When you arrive and you look over the embankment, you hear
All I can think is zombie. I know that's not where you're going.
no.
Sounds like a crow.
Oh, stinking crow.
And so Sansa would immediately look for some place where we could take cover, where we could hide, the nearest place. Quickly,
Throw my shield
we
over
must
my
find a
head
place
right
to
away.
hide. And that's what I would be looking for, Chad, and she would run quickly to it.
Okay, could you do me a favor? Do you happen to have a skill on your character sheet? Because I'm not familiar with all the skills yet. Do you happen to have a skill on your character sheet that you feel would be most applicable for finding a hiding spot or going about finding the best way to get around?
I believe I can use my nature skill because it falls hiding.
Yeah.
Falls
There
on
you go.
that. So I look for a natural place. And actually, as she scans quickly, she sees this little little tuft of grass, and there is this flat stone, and it's kind of laying across another stone, and it makes like this little place where she feels the 4 of them could probably wedge them, get under there. Or are we close enough to Rustleaf that we could make it into one of these gourd houses?
You can see that you could, but the rain makes the embankment fairly slippery, and you would be landing into like a mud puddle. So you could do it, but when you land, you're going to have to traverse some heavy terrain.
Right. So yeah, she makes a command decision, and she points to those rocks, and she says, "Quickly, there! You must take shelter there." And she starts to run. She just has her staff, and she's just pumping her little mouse legs as she's running for this rock.
I love it. What are the rest of you guys going to be doing while in this sort of scenario? Are we all going to be running toward the rocks, or are you guys going to go, in separate paths? Maybe some of you decide that that's not the way to go when, you go on your own. It's entirely up to you how you want to handle this scenario.
I want to follow Sansa, but I want to be the tail end of whoever's running that way. If everyone goes that way or whatever, and try to use my shield to protect anybody from the
Yeah.
Crow.
Awesome. So, as you guys now make your way to this little small rock embankment, you notice when you get there, Sansa, something you didn't see. Inside this little rock huddle, there are 2 pumpkin seed vendors who are shivering with absolute fear. They got separated from their group, and they cannot get back to their homes because of the crows.
Did everybody follow Sansa? Sansa?
Jarvis did.
Okay.
Yeah, Walton would have done as well.
All right, cool.
So Sansa, upon seeing these 2 terrified mice, would smile as reassuringly as she can, but she can't help it. She's afraid, and the whiskers on the left side of her face are twitching again, much like Walton grabs his tail. That's her tell when she's afraid. But she smiles her best smile at them and says, "It'll be okay." And she turns to, again, as the leader, she takes that responsibility very seriously, and she makes for sure the other 3 have gotten under the cover of this rock as well.
Very cool. So the 2 little mice. Oh, thank God. Thank Lockhaven. They arrived just tonight. Crows. Out of nowhere. I think they mean to take our seeds, but we need them. My name is Barrow, and this is my little one. And you see a little tiny, like not even old enough to have lost her down fur, sort of tender paw. This here. And she's my little love. And I can't go without her. I can't quite get back home neither. What do I do about them things? It's fighting.
So Jarvis puts his hand on his sword and asks, "How many are there?"
Last I counted, 3 of them. And they're all focusing on one pumpkin. I don't know what's so special about that one pumpkin. But mark my words, I can't get home. And the rain's getting worse. And if I'm lucky, my little Abigail, well, she'll get pneumonia in her chest. And she'll be gone by next morrow. I can't tell my little girl that. You know that.
This particular pumpkin, where is it at? Like, which one are you pointing at?
If you look out, and maybe you might be able to do you don't have to do a scouting check. I'm not going to make you do a scouting check for this, because it's pretty much obvious now once you look over the embankment. There are 3 crows, each one perched throughout this, somewhere throughout this pumpkin patch with all the gourds and the pumpkins. And it seems to be that one of them is perched right atop this pumpkin, trying to stab its beak into a hole inside of it. It looks like a human at one point had carved a jack-o'-lantern face into it. So it's stabbing a hole through one of the eyes and trying to get at one of the creatures that may very well be inside, whether it's seeds or mice. Who knows? You can't see that well from this vantage point. But you have a feeling that if 3 crows are huddled around this one pumpkin. It must be something of fairly deep significance. Please.
Is the pumpkin within bowshot?
You know what? If on a really good shot, probably. I'm not sure how much that's going to affect the crows, but if you want to, you can certainly roll me. Now, if that's a combat, what we do is we are going to roll against disposition. If you're going to go against the crows, you're going to roll against like a disposition. So you roll your nature versus my nature. So my nature is 7, so I would roll 7 dice. If your nature is, say, 5, you would roll 5 dice.
Right.
And then
But
whoever gets the most successes or failures out of the 2 would then win.
before doing so, Jarvis looks towards Sansa and says, "Sansa, you know me. I don't like to run away from battle. Can we fight these things?"
Sansa looks sadly from the seed merchant and then down at her little daughter. She looks to you. You see tears at the corners of her eyes, and she shakes her head. No. Does it look like it's going to keep raining? Or can we check to see about how much longer it's going to keep raining?
It looks like it's letting up. It looks like it was just a flash weather storm. So it looks like the weather is letting up, but it's still going to be raining slightly, almost like a mist in comparison to the heavy downpour you experienced a moment ago. The weather has sort of shifted into this like light mist.
Right. So she says that to Jarvis, and then she remembers one time when they were on a patrol. There was a similar situation. It wasn't 3 crows, but there was this large squirrel that was causing mischief, and so what they did is they created this diversion to draw it away so that they could get past. So she hurriedly says that to her companions. Maybe we could cause a distraction that would draw them away, and the others could find what was inside that pumpkin.
They're really focused on that pumpkin. What could distract them?
And she just shakes her head, raises and shrugs her shoulders, not having any idea. What do you think, Jarvis?
Yeah, go ahead, guys. If you want to, whatever you guys want to do, if you want to try to make a plan to distract, that's awesome. That's really cool. But what I will say is that now you are going to be going into conflict. Okay, we're going to start like a conflict, and it's going to be an animal conflict. So you're going to go up against these 3 crows, and however you want to deal with it.
I want other people to offer suggestions. I don't want them to feel like everything that Sansa says is gospel and that everyone is like, oh, I'm going to follow it. And that's why I would really lean to Jarvis, to Ickard, and even Walton.
Walton's going to take off the cloak that was given to him by Jarvis and hand it back to Jarvis. He looks a bit more dry. His fur's gone more fluffy, especially around like the neck area where it's sort of kept away from the rain. And he'll sort of trot over to the little daughter and take off his cloak and wrap it around her and grip his tail in front of him again. And oh, don't worry, little one. We'll figure something out. And he'll turn to Sansa and I don't think we can take them head on. I mean, there is only 4 of us. And he'll sort of go quiet again, like he sort of made a stupid suggestion. That wasn't particularly brave.
Yeah, so the way that conflict is going to work, guys, okay, is that, say there's 3 crows, So each crow has 7 nature. And so you would pit, I believe, your nature up against like your combined group of nature against the combined group of nature of the 3 crows. If you were to face all of them at once, right? If all 3 of the crows were to be faced at once, you'd be fighting all 3 crows. And that would be 21 nature you would have to be able to beat.
Mm-hmm. Oh. Yeah, doesn't somebody have scent?
Yeah, one of you guys should have some scent from the scent border that is there. That could definitely be useful to help you guys out in the situation. It just depends on if you succeed or fail in using it.
Yeah,
I have the skill.
Yeah, so when Waltram speaks to Sansa, she remembers. She says, Waltram, the scent, you have some with you. Do you think that it would work? Do you think that we could use it to drive these crows away?
Oh.
Or at least some of them.
Oh, yeah. It might just do that.
There's no time for might, Waltram. I need you to be certain. There are mouse's lives at risk here.
Oh, I'll give it a try. And he's sort of fiddling with the bits and bobs on his belt, and you can sort of hear him saying, "You're a mouse, not an ant. You're a mouse, not an ant. You're a mouse, not an ant." As he's grabbing this scent from his belt, he doesn't look like he's too sure what to do with it. But he looks up and stands as tall as he can, and readies himself.
Walton, does that need to be that needs to be applied to the border usually, right? That's how it works.
Yes, but a little bit might make them run away or fly away. Well, it's worth a shot. You think?
Sansa, what if I sneak over on this side of the edge of the hill and lay some upwind of the crows? Maybe I can sneak over there and do that without getting seen if I stay on this side.
Or what if I shot an arrow that had a rag soaked in the scent?
Maybe right at that pumpkin.
That's a great idea, Jarvis. Do you think you could hit the pumpkin? Do you think you can hit it from here?
On a good day, I would hit it for certain. Today, I think I could.
Well, it is worth a shot. And I appreciate your bravery, Ickard, but I would not want you to carelessly throw your life away. We will do Jarvis's plan.
Very cool, guys. Okay. You know what? I love this. Whatever you guys want to do, this is really cool. I've been while you guys were narrating that, I was reading through the rules to make sure I knew what I was getting myself into. So what it sounds like is we want to take a bit of the scent border, attach it to an arrow, and then launch it away from the pumpkin so that you guys could maybe investigate the pumpkin.
Oh, is that how the scent work? It draws them to it?
Yeah, it's supposed to repel them. It's supposed to repel them. Like the scent border repels most all creatures, right? Like the scent border repels most all creatures. So if you wanted to, maybe that actually would be a good idea. If you shot the scent border repellent at the pumpkin, and then sort of scared off the crows, that would be perfect. You guys want to go that route? Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's what we're gonna do.
Okay. Cool. So what I'll do in this then is I'm not going to necessarily have to roll for all. I don't know if I have to roll for all three of them, but if you want to try to at least scare off one or two, that's totally fine by me.
I'll rip off of the long edge of my cloak, or try to. Maybe I'll cut it. Maybe I'll have to cut it off with my broadsword, and use that to wrap up around the arrow that Jarvis will launch. Varus will launch, and we can soak that with the scent.
Perfect. And Sansa would whisper into Ickard's ears, and she would say, "Be brave. Keep Jarvis safe." Is what she would say as they head out to fire this arrow.
Okay. So I'll stay near Jarvis and with my shield and be ready to protect him, because he's going to have both of his paws on his bow.
Right.
Yep.
I think in a patrol, that's what your guy would be. Your guy would be like the imposer. He'd be like, "Don't," with the shield.
So we're
Now I've
going to
got
go
an eye
into
patch. I'm even more imposing.
we're going to go into a what's called a fight conflict and a fight animal conflict specifically. So Jarvis and Ichard, if you want to, while we're doing this, roll me a fighter or hunter skill check, so that we can, and then we'll just we add your nature to that. Okay.
Is there nature or will? Oh, well,
I think you add your nature.
nature's higher.
Nature's higher, yeah.
Oh, I read the wrong column.
Yep. So your test skill is fighter or hunter, and then you add your health or nature to it for your base, for your fight animal.
So I have a 6 starting disposition.
Okay, awesome. And then so that is, ooh boy.
Jarvis, are you adding yours to mine? Are we going fighting as a group?
We should, yes.
Okay.
Two, three. So I got 5 for the overall amount of. I start with a nature of 7, and I got 5 for my overall successes that I rolled.
Oh, you rolled 5 successes for.
I rolled 5 successes out of 7. Yeah. So here's what I will say. Of the three crows, then you scared away 1. Because I failed twice, one of them will have flown away.
Mm.
The other 2 are still present. And now that this scent border rag has been deployed, while it does push them back from the pumpkin, while it pushes them back, it now draws their attention to you and Jarvis. And they begin to stalk forward towards you, sort of flapping their wings and just annoyed that you would even bother to sort of attack them.
Jarvis, we can't go back to that little rock. Not with that little one there.
Jarvis puts his hand on his sword. Is today a good day to die, Ichard?
Every day is good to die. But maybe not for them. The little one, I mean.
Jarvis looks around for other places they might hide.
Do you think we can make it to a house?
It's possible.
So what I will say to here, Richard and Jarvis, one of you needs to take point as the captain of this particular fight. One of you needs to take point as captain. Now, how you handle this fight, you can choose to attack, defend, or feint attack when you were in these sort of situations, or you can run away. If you wanted to, you could completely try to disengage from the action, and that would be considered a maneuver. So you could do maneuvers to sort of get out of the way, to move, to gain advantage on something. You could choose to do maneuvers on that end. But you can choose three amongst the two of you, choose three things you want to do, and then sort of narrate and play those out as they go along.
Well, I'm not happy that you're next to me, Richard, because I've sworn to protect you through this endeavor. My dying would be one thing, but yours would be something completely worse altogether. I almost wonder if, and I hate to consider running away, but I almost wonder if we could. On a good day, I could probably take one crow on my own, but could you take one as well?
I think if nothing else, we can lead them away from the others, hiding under the rock. Maybe we find a hole in a log and get away from them.
Okay.
Back up over. Let's go.
What's your fighting skill?
3.
I'm a 6. You mind if I take point?
No, you should totally take point.
Okay. Then I'm going to recommend that we hightail it, and I'm gonna let you lead the way, and I will bring up the rear, ready to swing my mighty sword should I need to.
Very nice. As you're doing this, guys, the crows see you run, and you can tell that these are hungry crows now. They begin to sort of take flight and start to head in your directions. But it's almost like velociraptors, right? One of them looks at you and stares at you, and the other one begins to flank over to the side and darts behind a pumpkin, and then curls out and flutters right in front of you, Ichard, as you're trying to run away. It's beginning to flank. It's almost like a chess match from both of you. They're flying around you and trying to flank you. So I will work to trying to see if my disposition stays the same, or if I end up falling below 7, because I started with 7 and now we're working our way down here. So I am going to start by trying my wing maneuver here, and that is 1, 2. I only got 3 out of the 8 successes, so I fail. So obviously you see one of these crows, you have an opening, you have an opportunity. One of these crows, while they're smart and while they're quick, they sometimes snap too early, and one of them sort of snaps at one of you and just dives his nose down into the dirt, and now you guys have obviously an advantage, because one of them is still up and one of them has been pushed away due to the scent border. But the other one is now digging his nose out of the dirt that he just plummeted his face into.
Ooh. I know we're trying to maneuver, and I really just want to sink my broadsword in his eye.
Feel free.
Go with your instinct.
Because the thing is,
go with your
instinct, and the thing is, you get to choose 3, right? 3 actions that you can take as a group, like as a unit. You and Jarvis can make 3 different actions. It doesn't have to be all maneuvers.
Okay.
It can be like maneuver, attack, defend, maneuver, attack, defend throughout the whole thing,
Right.
or you can change it up. So
did we already maneuver?
So I would assume you've already maneuvered. You've already taken your maneuver, and you started your descent away. But they maneuvered and they tried, and then one of them failed and one of them succeeded.
Mm-hmm. All right. So if I want to spend the second action as an attack.
Okay.
And I'm not setting up for a long fight here. I just want to take advantage of him sinking his beak into the ground.
Now hold on. So you would roll your fighter skill, okay?
Uh-huh.
You would roll your fighter skill, and then if you're getting any help from, other mice, which I'm assuming because you're with Jarvis, you're getting help from another mouse.
Right? Oh, if Jarvis stops running, yeah.
Yeah. So you would get help from another mouse. You would roll however many dice that he's able to give you. I think in this case, it would be if it's your help, I think you get like an additional 2 or whatever it is for your defense skill, I think. It's either your defense or your fighter skill, Mark.
See, fighter, I see a 6. I'm not seeing a defense anywhere.
Okay, so if you don't have a defend, let's see. It says, yeah, so it says if you're plus 2 dice for help. So it sounds like you have the ability to, if someone's going to help you, you get an additional 2 dice, right? You get an additional 2 dice to drink or to use if another character is helping you in a situation like this. So roll your 6 plus 2 because Jarvis is going to be there to assist you.
Okay, so he's making the roll then.
No, you would make. You said you were going to make the roll.
Yeah,
so,
I've got fighter 3.
Okay, then yeah, if he's got fighter 6, then he's got the better one. He would take the overhand and then get the plus 2 to fighter for that.
Okay.
Okay, so I'll roll.
Then I'll
roll 8.
So,
7 successes.
7 successes. Okay,
that wouldn't have happened if I rolled.
So here's what's going to happen then. Because you got 7 successes, which is fantastic, I am going to give. I want you to narrate for me. Bankbar, I want you to narrate for me how you land an additional attack on this creature, because Jarvis's blade, I'm assuming you're using your sword and not your bow. You can choose how you want to describe that, Mark.
This close, yeah, it's my sword. It's what's in my hand, and close combat,
Okay.
but it's not going to be help.
So the 2 of you can choose how you want to narrate it, but both of you get an attack that lands on this thing, because the 7 successes out of 8 is just fantastic. So show me and describe to me how this happens.
I'm assisting, so you started off.
Okay, so Jarvis and running away, and they see one crow flanking them, and another crow slams its beak into the dirt, narrowly missing them. Both of them start to slip as they attempt to dodge this beak. Jarvis, out of instinct, takes his sword. As he spins around, he sees the beak in the ground, and he stabs the crow in the eye with his sword, plucking the eye out, basically. Of course, the crow gives a squawk, and Jarvis yells a mighty squeak.
As I'm following after Jarvis, I see the advantage he's taken. I was already thinking of swiping at this crow that got uncomfortably close. After he has such a devastating effect on the crow, I feel a little more brave than I should have normally, and I'll launch myself up onto the back of his head, using his empty socket as a stepping space, and just drive my broadsword into the back of his head, or back of his neck, back here, before pulling it out and jumping off and continuing my run. Looking for the other crow now.
So this crow that you both have hit is pretty wrecked at this point. He is disoriented beyond all get out, and he's quite torn up. He sort of calls out to his other brethren, and he is fearful. He is actually fearful of you two mice now, and he sort of backs away with his arms, just defeated, just sort of like, how are these things attacking me? The other one, the other healthy one, looks at its like battered brethren and just sort of gives it this like, come on, man, you can do better than that, like, and he like picks his beak up and just throws dust around, and dust and mud fling from his nose. And he starts to pretty much trot charge at the two of you. He's going to, I'm going to make a maneuver attack again. Take one disadvantage because you guys have been succeeding so well in your attacks that I take one disadvantage on the roll. So instead of rolling a 7, I'm rolling 6 of these. Oh, no. God, okay. Crap. Even
6 successes, right?
No. Hold on. Yeah, well, 2 more to go. Oh, nope. Failures. I had 4 failures out of the 6. So, what you see is this healthier one charges again. He is mad now because you've battered up his brethren, and he just sort of charges full bore, wings flapping, mud everywhere. And I imagine what happens is his little tiny crow talons start to slip in this mud. Just, he pummels end over end. Just in this caked out mud. He is embarrassed. He is covered in mud. His wings can barely flap, and he is just angry now.
Ooh, angry.
The one which you have, the third one which you have now have now frightened, manages to have come back, realizing that this was a trick. He is now floating above this place. He is also angry, and he is coming back for his revenge. So, Sansa and Waltham, while all this has been going on, what are you doing to sort of aid either the townsfolk, peddlers, or the supposed pumpkin that has been overtaken by these crows?
So Sansa would be watching intently as the 2 mice move away from them to execute the plan. And once they get the arrow off and then they start running, and she sees the 2 crows descend upon them, she watches kind of like with bated breath, not wanting something bad to happen to either of them, but certainly not Jarvis. And then she remembers she can't stand here staring. She has something she needs to do. She should be doing too. She quickly turns on the peddler and the child, and she says very hurriedly, maybe a little bit more sternly than she would have liked, but the pressing nature of what's going on forces her. She's, "Stay here, Waltram, come with me," and she snatches her staff and she starts running towards this pumpkin, and she kind of just gives this tug to Waltram as she runs out from the cover of this rock, and she's using the distraction of them to try to get to this pumpkin.
Nice. Okay, so what I want you to do then is we'll treat that as we'll give you guys an opportunity to form your quote-unquote attack scheme. You each are going to, Sansa, I'm assuming you're going to take captain point on this one.
Yep.
And Waltham, you will be the backup and the help. So here's what's going to happen. The three of you are going to choose your three maneuvers. Whether you want to do maneuver, defend, however you want to do it. You can do maneuver, attack, defend, etc. Choose your three maneuvers, and then I will choose my three maneuvers for any imposing creatures, and we'll go from there.
Right. Yeah. So you know what you want to do, Waltram?
Well, making just a dash for the pumpkin, right? I think that was the plan.
Yep.
So that would be considered a maneuver action. Your first thing would be considered a maneuver action. The next,
so we're going to do a maneuver for sure first because we've already decided that because we started running.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect.
I guess it would depend on how far we got, whether we'd keep on running.
I will go ahead and say that.
Well, it's like rounds, right? Aren't there like 3 actions that we do? So the first action that we chose was a maneuver. Then we'll choose a second action. Then we'll choose a third.
So there's rounds in these kinds of fights. Typically, the way it goes is you do one action, I do another. So it's a teeter-totter back and forth rounds each, right? So you guys get one action, the crows then take one action. You guys get one action, the crows then take one action. It's going to go back and forth until all of that's done, and until the disposition of those crows or the disposition of you mice are down to 0. Okay, the way you determine that is that you take the bulk number of your nature, right? Because mice can only be determined by their nature. Same way with animals. So if I have one crow that is 7 nature, if both of your natures drop to below 0 before the end of the fight, you're pretty much down. You're pretty much out. Now, you can be healed and gain nature back, but you're basically unconscious until such time as there's a killing blow situation.
Okay.
Yeah, well, I guess we both make our dash towards this pumpkin. That's
okay.
Our first maneuver.
Awesome. So as you're...
You muted again.
Oh, sorry. As you're maneuvering to the pumpkin, the crow that is floating and hovering above and has watched his brethren just kind of get pummeled by these ostentatious mice begins to list and dive towards you two. And what's the old saying that that most animals take, that the weakest of the herd be purged first? And Waltham, unfortunately for you, dude, because you are sick, I'm going to imagine that you're kind of hobbled a little bit, man. You're kind of hobbled.
Yeah, mate, sprinting over, just sneezing and coughing as he's shivering as he's running towards this pumpkin.
So this is where I'm confused, Chad. So we're doing a maneuver, and I'm assuming this crow is doing an attack. So those would be I'm looking at this chart. So that would be a versus roll.
So that's
right?
that's a versus roll. Yes. So what it is you're gonna you roll your maneuver check to determine how well you maneuver out of the way. I'm rolling my maneuver check, and if one of us beats each other, that's going to determine how we narrate what goes on.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? I will roll my maneuver check after you guys, but so Lionel, since you're taking point, you would be the one to do the maneuver check. Your maneuver check.
So what is it based off of? That's the only thing that I'm confused
Oh,
on.
your maneuver check then, like for a maneuver check, I believe you take. No. Hold on. Let me check. I'm going to check that. Maneuver check is used to maneuver in a maneuver check. Maneuver check. Plate. Okay, so it's played against attack
So
or defense.
is this a chase maneuver?
Yeah, pretty much it's going to be a chase. I would say that's
Or a
chase
fight
maneuver.
animal maneuver?
It's a fight animal. Okay, no. So it's a fight animal. It's a fight animal maneuver because they're
That says
fighting the animals.
lore or nature is what the little
Or health.
cross
Or,
check.
so you would roll fighter or hunter to test as the test skill. Okay, fighter or hunter as the test skill, and then adding to that to get your disposition, you want to add your health or nature to that.
Okay. And when you say adding it, does that mean I roll
It
those
says-
additional die, or
It says add. It just says add to the base. It says add to base. So I'm assuming you would just give your base number, right?
Hold on, Chad. I think that's the table for starting disposition.
Oh, starting disposition. Okay,
So
yeah.
if you look at the exact opposite corner, skills by conflict or action. So it has attack, defend, feint, and maneuver across the top, and then across the going down, it's got arguments or chases or fights or fight animals or negotiation or journey or speech or war.
Okay.
So I think we're looking at the combination between we're in a fight animal conflict,
Okay.
and our action is a maneuver. And
Okay.
therefore, we're doing lore or nature for our
Lore
test.
or nature. Okay, yeah, perfect. That's awesome. Thank you very much for helping me out with that, man.
No problem.
Okay. Yeah, so it'd be lore or nature that you have to roll.
Okay, so it's based off my nature then, because I believe that's higher than my lore. I don't even have lore.
Yeah,
would
I'm
roll-
looking for lore too. I don't see it.
So you would roll your nature then. Some characters some characters won't have lore, so you would just use your nature at that point.
Okay. No, you gonna roll, Harry? You want to roll? Considering he's targeting you, I wouldn't want to. I don't want. Well, I guess what I'm saying is I don't want my fate to be on my.
No, you,
no. Yeah, so
you can roll. Re-roll.
So
Alright.
Walton, either of you can do it since you're both being attacked, pretty much.
Yeah.
Either of you can do it. That's your choice.
Right,
So I got-
you roll for me.
3 successes and 2 fails.
Okay, so did you just roll 5? Because if Harry is adding to you, you would then get +2.
Oh, okay, so I
Yeah.
will do.
To your, you would get the additional +2 because you're rolling for his fate too. No? Did you
Yeah.
fail? That's the laugh of failure right
5
there.
fails and 3 successes. You shouldn't have
That's so
helped me,
bad.
Waltram. So this is how I see it. So Sansa's kind of running, and she looks over her shoulder, and she sees Waltram doing his best to keep up, but he's sickly, so he's coughing, and he's kind of staggers a bit. So she also sees this crow circling, and it just cuts and dives down, and she, the leader in her takes over, so she runs back and she kind of grabs him to pull him along, and so I fail.
You did.
Man, here's the deal. We tied. Okay? I got 5 failures and 3 successes. So, I don't know even how to describe this. What I think we'll do is say that in a tie like that, since it's a versus, in a tie, how would I handle that?
This is what I'm thinking. That we both would suffer some ill effect. Like some ill effect would happen to the crow, but it would also happen to Waltram and I as well.
Okay, so here's what I'm going to say. I agree with that. So you guys have been running around now for a while. Okay, you've been running around, and you're stumbling, you're fumbling around. Waltram is already sick, so I'm not going to add an additional problem to you. However, Sansa starts to get tired. You are now going to be tired for the remainder of this. And tired subtracts 1 disposition from all conflicts. So from in the future, whenever you have a conflict, you're going to take 1 dice away from your disposition total. Okay? I'm excited for this.
That's actually perfect. I love it.
So the crows, one of them is definitely injured, which means that if he tries to attack, he's done. He's not gonna do anything pretty much. The other one that just happened, I'm gonna say he does get injured. He's gonna tie you, but he's gonna get injured when he comes in for the landing. This time around, he slams into the ground with his talons, and they skid along this wet ground, and it breaks one of his talons off. Just breaks one of his talons. So now he's hobbled a little bit, but he is angry. He is pissed off, and he is just squawking and wailing about now as you have now maneuvered your way towards this pumpkin. When you look at this pumpkin, though, you notice that there is a large gaping hole that looks like it was originally like a rot spot that has now been made into like a living quarters hole. And there seems to be something inside there. And you can determine what you can determine how you go about it, and then I'll narrate what you see.
Yeah, so as this crow comes hurtling down at us, and we narrowly escape being its dinner, so I would see that Sansa and Waltram both get kind of thrown as we dive out of the way. So we kind of help each other up, and then we bolt the last distance to this pumpkin. And I just hurriedly, almost like shoving him, I'm just like, "Get into the pumpkin!" And her breath is just labored. Her lungs are just burning. Her legs are burning, and she just shoves Waltram ahead of her, and then she runs into this pumpkin through this opening. And Waltram, I don't want to force you in there if you don't want to. That's what Sansa would try to do.
Yeah, that's exactly what happens. Yeah, you just shove him in there, nose and whiskers first.
Very nice.
I just read the chat.
That's awesome, man. Okay, so now all 4 of you are pretty much in this crow zone. So what I want to do is Jarvis and Ichard, you've now seen your 2 friends come down, be attacked by the swooping crow, and they narrowly they get attacked, but they narrowly miss because the crow misses as well. He's injured, but they manage to kind of scamper away, but they're not in great wear either. What do you guys want to do going forward, since you 2 are kind of together and Sansa and Walton are kind of together? You're all sort of together now as a grouping, so you can stay together as a grouping now, or we can kind of keep it in pairs, however you guys want to do it.
Well, we still have a pissed off crow right next to us, don't we?
Yes, you do. You still have a pissed off crow who is hobbling on 1 leg, and you have another one that is so severely injured that it probably won't get back up.
Well, let's finish this one, man.
All right, I think we need to stand tall and put this thing out of our misery.
Yeah. That other one might be angry, but if he sees another one fall, he might just bug out.
Yeah, so I'm going to fight.
Yeah. Let's roll some
Oh
more
yeah,
ones.
dude. I love this. Yeah, we're going go hard or go home, man. That's awesome. So
Are you
we're gonna,
sure you two are mice?
dude, so you're fighting the angry crow that's not completely injured, or are you gonna like coup de grace this sort of injured crow that is maybe a house away from you, that's just covered in mud, his wings probably broken, his beak has definitely been stabbed into and cracked. You did some damage. You guys did some significant damage to that one earlier in the day. How do you guys? Which crow are you guys going for? Just so I'm aware.
No, I was thinking the more fit
the-
one.
Yeah, the more what? Fit? Yeah, I think the down crow we leave alone right now. We need to go after the one that
Yeah.
just crashed and burned a second
Yeah,
ago.
you got it. Okay, so that's good. So what we'll do is I'll have you guys do a attack roll, and then I will go ahead and do a maneuver roll to try to escape you. Because hey, at this point, I'm not attacking you. I'm going to try to do a maneuver and then attack you.
So do I roll 8 dice again?
Yeah, Jarvis,
roll
why
eight
don't you
dice.
roll, and then and I'll assist.
Okay.
That's not a huge loss for me since my fighter's only a 3 anyways. I'm only giving up 1 die to help you.
And 5 successes that time.
All right. So this time around, though, Angry Crow wins. You go to try and swipe at him, and your small sword comes just inches away from one of the wings. It clips it, and maybe one of the feathers comes off, but it's almost like you're in the middle of a dance, and the crow just... And I'm going to have him come back towards you, and now I'm going to try to attack you with this crow's beak as he just sort of lunges forward off of the sort of pirouette that he did towards moving out of the way. You miss with your sword, though, Jarvis, and it just comes ting, slamming down into the mud and caking in a little bit. And Ichard, if you want to try to make a defense roll, you certainly can. I'm going to go ahead and try to make the attack, though.
Yes, I would definitely like to. Now, defense. Is that your fight skill? I don't really see anything here telling me
I believe you have a skill. I don't know if I think your character sheet has a skill or a trait on there called Defender, specifically Defender.
I don't.
You don't? Okay.
I mean, I know you told me to write over some things.
Yeah, one of these character sheets should have a specific skill called Defender.
Now, what you gave me, you said that there's a shield.
Yeah, and I know the character sheet doesn't have a shield, and I meant to have you write those in. Yeah, but the shield offers you +1 die to defense, so you get like +2 to defense. So
+2 is what it says here.
yeah, +2. Yeah, you write in +2 to defense, so you would get 2 extra
you will
dice.
gain +2d or 2 dice towards defense rolls.
Toward defense roll. So if you're going to roll defense, basically you roll it as a fighter, but instead of attacking, you're going to defend.
And I get to add another 2 because of the shield.
And you get to add another 2 because of the shield. Exactly.
Okay, got it. So I rolled a total of 5 dice. This makes sense. I'm much more defendy than fightery. 3.
So you got a 3. You got a 3, and his attack roll, I got 4. Okay, so I beat you by 1.
So I take a disposition.
So you're going to take a disposition. What we're going to do is I'm going to say that your disposition. Here's what's going to happen. The crow hits you, but not full on physical damage. You manage to get your shield up just enough to block the actual attack, but you are gassed. The beak goes into the small walnut shield, and it sort of cracks the front end, but you are pushed back, and you are now like lodged in this mud, and you are tired. You are gassed. So from that point on, you're going to be tired, and I think what that requires you to do is you have to get a good night's rest with an obstacle 3 health test. So when you get an opportunity, roll your health, which I think is 4 or 5?
5 for me.
5. Okay, so yeah, you would roll your health, and then you would have to get 3 successes to be fully healed later.
Right, yep.
All right, that's awesome though, guys. So you both missed, but in that now he is on the warpath. You guys do have other attacks you can do. Do you want to continue to attack? You certainly can.
Can I always use my defense action even if he's trying to attack Jarvis?
Yes, I will certainly say that. So like almost like a Captain America thing. If you want to use your shield in defense as a sort of attack way to do things, I will totally I will play a DM's advocate and say, hey, yes, absolutely, that is totally fine.
Oh, I just mean to defend for Jarvis.
Oh yeah, you can use it like being a shield for Jarvis. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. You can slide up in front. You could slide up in front and be his shield if you want. Yeah.
That's gonna be my call then. I'll let Jarvis with his larger attack do that, and I'll just defend for him.
Fantastic. Okay, cool.
So what distance is this crow from me at this point? Is a bow usable, or is it still sword work?
It's like now that you guys have been scattered a bit, you have pretty much bow distance right now.
I do have +1d for bow.
Ichard is further away from you than he may like to be with his tired background, but he could certainly still get up to you. But the crow, being sort of weakened, would definitely have some time getting to you in this muddy terrain. So definitely go ahead and take your bow action if you want to take your bow action. That's awesome.
Okay. So that would be 6 + 1, and then am I using +2 from Ichard again, or?
Yeah, so what I'll say is this. I will give you an extra +1 because it's not going to be +2 right now because he's not fully in front of you. If he had the time to get there and be in front of you with the extra shield, I would totally give you the +2. But I will give you +1 because he's still distracting this crow enough to keep him at bay to where you can make the shot.
Okay, so 8 dice. Only 4 this time. Only 4.
You're muted again, Chad.
Oh yeah, no. 4 successes is pretty good. Now I have to make a maneuver to avoid that. I have to make a maneuver to avoid that shot. And I'm going to let you know that I'm probably going to fail it, which is awesome. Because, yep, all sorts of yep. So I fail it. And if you want to describe to me, Mark, how that happens, please feel free to go ahead.
Okay, so I draw back my bow, and just as I do so, the crow opens its beak to call loudly at me, attempting to instill fear into me. My arrow flies into its mouth, striking it in its throat, inside of its mouth. Now how the crow fails to dodge the arrow, I can't say. All I see is the arrow truly flying and hitting its mark.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So here's what I'll say in response to that. The crow turns his head away from Ichard for a moment, and he sees you, Jarvis, with that red cloak on your back, almost like a bullfighter, and he is now drawn to you, and he opens his mouth and struggling for air as you found a very deep part of the windpipe with this little tiny toothpick of an arrow. It just manages to lodge perfectly into the throat, enough to really irritate the bird enough to fly up and away. It realizes, man, these mice are not to be dealt with. They are definitely more formidable than we expected, and it starts to just fly away as best it can. But it's still hovering. It's trying to bury its beak. You can see it like struggling to fly because it can't get breath, and it's actually trying to dislodge this thing from its mouth as it's slamming its head into the mud, trying to cough up this arrow. But you guys are now pretty much out of a combat situation. Most of the animals that are around you have either been injured and decommissioned, or they've flown away and are distracted by other things. So you now are all gathered around this one pumpkin, I would imagine. Inside, you see what looks to be a grizzled and angry mouse.
I didn't ask for help. Why did they send you?
Pardon me. We were merely just taking cover from those crows. I am Sansa, and these are the members of my patrol.
Bah! You call yourselves mouse guard. I've seen better mice in my day. I could have taken those 3. I had it all prepped and prepared. And you 4, what are you? Come up in here, into my home, acting like you saved me or something.
I'm looking around for the seed cannon that he apparently built to take care of this situation.
You do see around him that it's not a seed cannon, unfortunately, Richard. What you look around and you see is this sort of gourd pumpkin that has a table and a chair and a couple little household items inside of it. He's straight up drinking fermented pumpkin juice, and you see these small goblets and gourds of like piles and piles of these small little cups, these little tin cups that he's had, and they're just slewed around, and you can smell on his breath this sort of fermented pumpkin juice.
Listen here, you. What's your name? I remember that blue cloak. What's your name, you?
So Sansa steals herself, and she clearly can tell that this mouse is drunk and not aware. I'm Sansa. We will leave. By chance, do you know of a mouse named Edmund?
And he sort of starts to grimace and glare.
Why are you asking about Edmund? Huh? Why are you asking? What's important to you?
and he gets this sort of haunty, like, he's got this big barrel chest, right? And he's sort of posturing himself, and you can see that he, like, walks around the room, and he grabs a hold of an old black axe. It's very sharp, and he holds it in his hand. What is important to you? Why do you need to see Edmund?
Well, we just sent to see if he's okay. Do you know where he is?
What's the name of the town that we come from?
That'd be Rustleaf. You guys were coming from Lockhaven.
Lockhaven. It's like
Lockhaven is basically the capital of the Mouse Guard. They serve every other part of the territories of Mouse Guard.
Yeah, Edmund is needed back at Lockhaven. He's a great warrior. He's needed back in the center of the kingdom.
Great warrior, you say? Well, I wouldn't consider myself a great warrior, but I used to fight a couple of foxes here and back in my day. Single-handedly, mind you.
And you can tell that, like, you don't necessarily know if that's a true statement or if it's a false statement, but he seems exuberantly confident that, like, if a fox were to show up right now, I could take him.
Well, you're Edmund? And I'll look over at Sansa.
Well, yeah. You looking for a mouse guard? Don't you recognize the colors?
And you can see that his, like, big barrel chest is sort of inlaid with this large walnut shell of a chest piece. And it's he's got all these sorts of baubles and, like, dried pumpkin seed pauldrons on his arms. He's been here for a while, and if a mouse could grow a beard, I imagine that, like, his fur and his whiskers have gotten just, like, exceptionally long for a mouse to have. What are you judging a man for, eh? I'm a good old mouse, I am.
So Sansa, as this revelation, it just hits home for her. She's thinking, she's like, no, we've been through too much. We've nearly drowned, killed by crows. We'll not be treated this way by this drunkard. She says to Edmund, she says, why have you locked yourself away here in Rustleaf? Why haven't you returned to the capital, to the citadel? The lady, she needs you. She needs all experience, Mouse Guard.
Lady Gwendolyn? Lady Gwendolyn needs me? You know, the last time Lady Gwendolyn needed me was when old Midnight was facing us with these axes. You know what she said to me? She said, Edmund, you either have one choice, to fight or not to fight. And I'm a fighter. I fight. But sometimes they ask you to come back. And when the Weasel Wars happened, I didn't really feel like coming back. Excuse me, but I've had my fair share of fights, and I would rather be able to retire in peace.
But there's so much left to do.
Well, okay. So, in this point of the play, I want everybody to know that like this part of the conflict would be considered a negotiation conflict. Okay.
Let's go for
So, in order to do this conflict, you have to somehow persuade Edmund, or you could fight him if you want, because swords to swords. But either you persuade him to do something, or somehow you guys coax him to leaving Rustleaf.
Edmund?
I'm for haggling. I guess.
Well, I think we can haggle, but Edmund, you strike me as scared, Edmund. What are you scared of?
Scared?
Yeah, scared. I didn't see you out there fighting the crows. You were tucked away in your little hidey hole of a pumpkin.
Oh, dude. Okay, so at that note, you can see physically that the hairs on the back of his neck and his sort of demeanor changes vehemently. Excuse me, what? I wasn't being a coward, was it?
You made an oath when you joined the guard, Edmund, and you've backed out of your oath.
You listen here, you. What's your name? Huh? You little red cloak. Listen to me. I remember when I was in your shoes. I've seen things that you can't unsee. You ever seen a weasel eat your brothers? In front of you? I have. So excuse me if I go back to that mess.
Do you want us to see those kinds of things? It seems you have the knowledge and the skills to share with others, so maybe we can avoid those kinds of things in the future.
Want to do in that case, Jarvis, if you would please negotiate either a haggler or a manipulation roll is going to be needed for negotiation. So if any of you guys have haggler or negotiator or like manipulator,
I have deceiver, but that's all.
Oh no, deceiver's fine. You can lie to him if you want. I will go ahead and say deceiver's fine. Usually,
how about persuader?
Persuader would work. Any sort of manipulation or haggler persuasion, I will go ahead and do that because it's technically considered an argument or a negotiation. So you can choose argument or negotiation. We can do either or.
I would prefer not to lie if we don't have to.
Right.
Yeah, so we can make this.
Yeah,
so we'll make this an argument.
Lying is considered a weapon. If you guys look at that little thing, so that's interesting.
Yeah,
Like,
lying is considered a weapon.
Deception is an automatic success. I mean, one success. If you do either a feint or maneuver type action. Whereas evidence is +1 success on an attack. Making a promise adds
I'm
die to
thinking.
defense. It's kind of interesting.
I'm thinking going with the defense action and using promises because of what he said. And with persuasion as the base, saying, "Well, I could narrate it as Sansa. Edmund, return with us. We will speak with the lady for you, and she will see you can be released. This is not a life for you, hiding." So yeah, that's what I would.
But what if I go back, eh? What if I go back to that Lockhaven and they say, "Oh, hey, Edmund, you'd be a wonderful patrol guard. Why don't you take yourself a small little band of tenderfoots and watch them go out on their own and get destroyed?" Huh? What then?
Edmund, I see your pain. We have all felt it. We've all lost those close to us. The war was hell. None of us want to go back to that. Listen, come back with us. You don't have to go out on patrols. You have skills. You could train the tenderfoots. Make it so they survive, that they come back from the patrols.
All right, so here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to have you roll me one of you guys, whoever you want, whichever four of you wants to do it, take point and be captain, but roll for me.
My persuasion's a 5, guys. I don't know what you got.
2.
0.
My 2.
2. Okay, so yeah. So Sansa, you're taking point then.
Yep.
You're the one talking to all the merchants.
Now, just so you guys know, for the rest of this adventure, I minus 1 die.
Yeah,
Correct?
so that's fine. Yep,
Because of
you
my
are minus 1
exhaustion.
die because you're
so
exhausted.
yeah, I just look exhausted. I'm just worn.
As am
So
I.
that'll actually cancel out because our defense action gives me a +1 to the die for promises.
That's
So that'll-
fine. Yep, that works, man.
So roll it up.
Roll it up. Roll it up, boy.
Oh,
Did you get
my
it?
dice hate me. I
No?
got 1 success. So yeah, Sansa's she's just so exhausted. She's just feeling so done that maybe that little bit of edge is to that voice.
Yeah. So one of the things that you may notice about Edmund, though, is there's another Sansa, you specifically, even though you failed to convince him of this, there might be a reason why you failed to convince him of this. So you notice something that maybe only you notice. He has this sense of guilt in his eyes when he looks at specifically you, when you are trying to convince him. And then he looks at you and says, "Look how tired you are." And then you tell me how I'm supposed to live my life. Yeah. Good job, Patrol Guard.
If you're okay with it, Chad, what I would like to do is give it off to one of the other guys to maybe notice that guilt-ridden look on his face.
Yeah, man. So that was for your personal goal. I know we talked. Like, I know that was written on the character sheet, right? So something there is going on. But if the other characters want to chime in and step in,
yeah, I think
absolutely.
I want to give them an opportunity to notice it as well and maybe call him out on it. You know, because as Sansa noticed, maybe one of them notice it as well.
Great. So like group interrogation. I love it. Okay, cool.
Well, Mr. Edmund, you're obviously a brave fighter, and unlike myself, but you wouldn't want to leave the kingdom being defended by just people like me, would you?
You there, Sniffles? No, I wouldn't want to leave the kingdom guarded by you. You might, in fact, give the entire Mouse Kingdom the plague. I'm not exactly sure. But here's the thing. I'm not a coward. I'm not. Why would you even consider that? And he seems to almost be tucking himself away. The more and more you kind of nudge and prod and poke and try to convince him, and you're failing at doing so, the more he is like, no way. You're gonna have to pull me out of this pumpkin by the skin of my whiskers. I'm going to be here and retire here and stay here at the best of my ability.
Well, if I can be a guard, well, surely you can. You're much braver than I am.
No,
Oh, that's why we heard so much about him.
You did? What kind of things did you hear?
Well, all of your service and the scouts you led in the Weasel Wars.
But yeah, but
Well, I heard your stories around the campfires and training. That would be deceit, by the way.
Oh yeah, there you go. There you go. Good. I love it.
You took on a
And
badger.
you know what, Edmund? I heard you were not the kind of mouse who would ever leave a little girl for the crows to get. And just over the way, there is a little girl, and she very much stands the chance of dying.
And that right there, that sentence breaks him. I can't go back. I can't. If you understood what I've done, you wouldn't really like me. Those stories of heroism. Granted, while I did all those things, you wouldn't find me very favorable, boys. I'm sorry. I don't need a guard anymore. Because I've done so many things wrong. And you can't forgive that, right? You can't. And he says, but you know what? You're right. I can't let a little girl die on my watch. And he sort of grabs hold of his axe, and without even asking the three of you, he begins to step out of the pumpkin. And he stands out in this misty rain. And the one crow that managed to take off is now coming back. The three of you, or the four of you, are still in the hut, and you're sort of onlooking. And he just stands there with his axe in his hand. And he looks over to Sansa and Jarvis. Tell you what. You tell Gwendolyn I'm sorry for failing her. I can't ever take back what I've done. But in the months to come, there will be more blood than this. I'm sorry. And you see the crow begin to swoop in. And at that point, guys, I'm going to give you the floor to do what you want to do. Whether you defend him, whether you let him receive his fate, or whatever you want to do, I'm completely open to full narrative here.
Well, Edmund runs out next to him. I will stand shoulder to shoulder and fight next to you. I mean, Jarvis runs out next to Edmund.
Yeah,
I will stand with you, Edmund.
Yeah, we're eating lots of crow dinner tonight.
You
Awesome.
You do that for me. I've never had a crew to do that.
You are a fellow guardsman, and I will live by you or die by you.
Sansa watches this play out before her. She doesn't have the heart. She doesn't have the heart to tell the young Tenderpaw Ickard or tell her close friend Jarvis the truth. As she was listening to the others talk to Edmund, it all came back to her. It was many years ago, back during the war. She was a much younger mouse then. She remembers Edmund, not by name, but as he spoke, the memory came back to her. He is a coward. He fled. Many mice died because of his cowardice. But Redemption. We all must get it. Doesn't fear grip us all? Certainly I must let him die if he should die. Make amends. He cannot bring the mice back. So she says nothing to her compatriots. She says nothing to Edmund about remembering. As she too walks forward, gripping her staff tightly in both hands, smiles at Jarvis, looks at Waltram and says, what would I say to him? That was so great up until then.
You locked
I'm
up,
doing
man. What
1
happened?
hour sleep, man. I'm doing good.
Yep, 1 hour sleep. Yep.
Hey,
Waltram.
on 1 hour sleep. You're good,
Can we
man.
just
Just
hand wave that bit and let me roll with something?
Yeah, go for it. Yeah, he just so I'm about to. Sans is about to say something to Waltram.
Yeah, Waltram steps forward. He's still gripping his tail. He's just been gripping it this entire time. He walks forward, sort of looks up to Edmund, just sniffles a bit and just releases his tail and grabs his axe and brings it forward. Sort of looks up just determinedly at this crow that's swooping down. And his fur bristles up and he steels himself.
Oh, man. Oh, dude, I'm sorry. The chat got me, dude. Oh. Thanks, Bar. Dude, you killed it. Oh, man. Okay, so I imagine...
My wife's a nanny, so I get all kinds of little stories.
That's awesome. So you get this moment now where all of you are sort of huddled around this lone lost guard, and the crow is descending upon you. What are you going to do?
I draw my bow.
Awesome.
So that
yeah.
beak has been met with a shield for sure.
Cool, very cool. So we're going to do, how are we going in order of the attack rolls? And what I'll basically say is that it's going to be 3, and then the crow, and then 1 more. So that'll basically be how it'll have to happen. I'll have to divide it up into groups of 3, and each one of you will get an attack part, and then the crow will get its series of attacks to try to do in response to that.
I guess Waltram will go last.
Okay.
He's the least experienced and the least fightery.
Okay.
And the least excited to be out here.
Yeah. Okay. So, yeah, man, I'm excited for this. So let's let you guys go first and make your decisions, make your defenses. And the crow is coming down, so I'm going to go ahead and roll for its maneuver attack.
Jarvis, I think you should lead. You're the most
Okay.
combat proficient of the group, so you should be the captain.
Okay.
And I just want to defend whoever the crow attacks. I don't know if that really. Let me see. That really doesn't. Does that even put me making an action? If I look at defend versus an attack is a versus roll. So I guess oh no, you said it's a maneuver. Chad, is it?
Yeah, so the crow is going to do a maneuver attack.
That's still a versus though.
But
Okay.
that's still a versus, yeah. So you can use an attack or a defend against it, but it's still a versus.
2. I've got
Okay.
2 successes on my defense. So I think that just.
So the crow comes in, and like I imagine you guys are in this almost arrow shape around Edmund, and like a bowling ball, his beak smashes into you. Ichard, you are tired, and like its full weight cannot take it.
I forgot to do that.
His beak grabs onto your shield now, You're avoiding getting eaten by just having this shield lodged in its jaws, and it starts to pick you up.
All right.
So you are now sailing above the battlefield, but he can't quite get up because of his muddy and he can't quite fly like he used to because of all the mud on his talons. So he's just sort of coasting just above, holding you in its mouth now. And then you guys have the opportunity to now make other maneuvers from that.
My arrow needs to fly.
Arrow fly!
I will roll. 5.
And so I got 4. So you managed to make it. You get it. So tell me how you shoot this thing and where you want to shoot it, and then I'll kind of narrate how the whole spitting out Itchard sort of thing happens.
Okay. Well, obviously its face again is going to be its most tender spot. So again, I'm shooting around its eye, and the arrow flies. It does not hit it in the eye, but it does hit it in the cheek just below the eye.
Very cool. So this crow is pretty much, after all the damage you guys have already committed to it, it's pretty much like on its end to its disposition. So you guys have a couple more attacks that if you were to hit like maybe 1 or 2 more attacks, it's done. It's completely dead and downed. What would you like to do, Mr. Brave Waltham? As you see the crow get hit in this cheek, and Itchard now comes spewing out from the mouth, and you just sort of end over end. And I imagine, and you can describe this for me, Bankbar, if you want to. I imagine he's holding on to this shield fairly tightly. You can describe to me how you land.
Oh, I'm holding onto my shield tightly?
Yeah, if you're holding onto your shield still really tightly,
yeah.
You describe to me how you land, buddy.
Well, I'm going to say that I was getting ready, had an arm out, getting ready to stab at and slice at the crow's face as he held onto me. So at first I go flying back, all spread out. And then just the weight of that shield just kind of pulls me down a little bit, or maybe it's catching more air, and I just try to land on the shield and go skidding through all this mud and
like a sleigh, using the shield
like a
as
sled.
A sled. That's awesome. Okay, man. So that's I imagine that's exactly what happens. You see Itchard sort of somersault end over end, and the weight of the shield sort of carries him in one direction, and then drop the shield on the ground, and then just use it to coast away from the battlefield. That's awesome. So Waltham, dude, you get to try your hand at actual combat.
Yeah, I want to.
You're a scientist.
Yep. I want to just. He's puffed up. He's ready. He wants to try and attack this thing. Is this the crow flying around in the air? Or?
Yeah, the crow's still flying around in the air. Obviously, he got pinned in the cheek a little bit, so he's definitely like moving about disorientedly. He's already popped Itchard out of his mouth, and he's now just like trying to pinpoint people with whatever good wing or whatever good claw he can get. He's trying to get at you guys.
Okay. Well, imagine Walton's he's not really sure what to do, so he's sort of just trying to slash at this thing's legs as maybe it's trying to like claw forward, grab at people, just with his axe straight forward. So I have a question.
Yeah, but-
What does the S stand for on the axe weapon? Like it says +1 S.
It's one success
One
already.
success. You get one.
Ah.
You get one additional like success.
Okay. So if I was to make an attack, it's off my fighter, right?
Yeah, you want to do
Yeah.
fighter.
Then you
Yeah.
add your, I think, nature to it, right?
Add my nature.
No. You just roll your fighter skill. You roll as many dice as you have for your fighter skill. Yeah.
3. It's pretty impressive. So I get 3 + 1 success.
3 + 1, so you roll 4 dice then.
No, it's 1 auto success, right, for the axe?
No, I think you just
one.
add success to the.
That's an auto success. Yeah. So
Yeah,
you roll the 3, and then that's an auto success.
Right. 3 successes. Plus the extra one, so that's 4.
Awesome. Okay, so please describe to me, Walton. I'm going to say that end. You know what? I've tried to calculate. I've been trying to calculate the crow's dispositions. I think that kind of dramatic success would completely wipe this crow's disposition to nothing. So
Nice.
it's basically going to be treated. I'm going to treat it like a crit that you would in D&D.
Yeah.
Please describe to me how you wreck this crow and just send it into, just send it into orbit. Because I imagine it's almost like a baseball smash that you're just like knocking him out of the park and sending his head somewhere beautiful.
So I mean, just like think everyone's sort of behind this. Walton sort of rushed forward on the like steps. I think there's like steps going up to this pumpkin's mouth. Maybe he's right on the edge, and you see this crow coming in with his tongue that's just outstretched, and he'll just through sheer instinct dodge to the side, bring his axe down on one of this thing's legs, and just chop the crow's foot like straight off, and then it just tumbles over the top of the pumpkin.
Dude, yes. Awesome. Okay. So you hear this agonizing scream of pain from the crow as it barrels over this pumpkin. It is bleeding. It is wrecked. It's probably going to die fairly soon. And you all have managed to fend off 3 crows, and Edmund stares at you, Walton. I remember using an axe like that. And he holds an axe very similar to yours, the black axes. A long time ago. Did good. And this sort of like, he's still a super coward. Like he is cowering down amongst this arrow point of heroes that are around him. But if you think that Gwendolyn will have me again, I warn you though. I've done some things. I'm not very proud of, and it could mean much worse things for you folk in coming months.
Yeah, so at that point, Sansa would interrupt him. She would maybe hand her staff to Jarvis, who's near her. She would put both of her hands onto Edmund's shoulders, and she would look him right in the eye, and she would say, "Edmund, we all have done terrible things. Let us leave the past in the past." And she would give him a look that, it'd be like one of those unspoken things, like, I know, but it's okay. And
I know what you are, but it's okay. Yeah, that's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
And that she would leave it at that, and she would just like give him like a reassuring like hug. And then,
that's so sweet.
Yeah, and then she would turn back to Jarvis, smile at him, seeing that he is well, and retrieve her staff.
All right, so I'm gonna move toward sort of ending the session here. you have all managed to acquire Edmund the Coward. He goes back into the pumpkin and he grabs out of a small like lap trunk. He grabs what looks to be an old mouse guard cloak. And it's this yellow, almost jaundice looking cloak where it's just this very old pale yellow. And he wraps it around the back of his shoulders. Claw marks are dug into it, and all manner of debris is on it. I'm ready to go home now. And he starts to do that, and you start to carry them out. And as you do so, some of the pumpkin seed peddlers come out of their homes. They acknowledge that the crows have been vanquished from Rustleaf, and they give you a resounding a round of applause and praise as you sort of leave the city. But the two that are on the top of the bank who were too nervous to come down, they look to you. Excuse me, madam. I don't suppose you would mind me and my little one coming back with you to Lockhaven. To be quite honest, being a pumpkin seed vendor is tiresome, and it's very, very dangerous during the fall. I don't mind being here during the spring and the summer, but I can't bear to watch my little baby grow up in a dangerous position like this.
Well, yeah. More the merrier.
Really? Oh,
Sure.
that would be wonderful. Do you hear that? Do you hear that, Abigail? We're gonna go home. He sort of gets himself a pack, and the pack is loaded, filled to the brim with pumpkin seeds that he straps to his back. You lead the way, I will follow. And from that point on, you guys sort of trek back towards Lockhaven. About halfway, though, is when all of you have started to get very tired. You've started to get very hungry, very thirsty. You've been battling, you've been weary, and now you are just exhausted beyond all get out. You go to bed down for the night. The night passes. You're at the midway point, and you wake up. Edmund is still with you. He has learned his error of his ways, and he has not tried to escape you or run away from you. Neither has the other family. But as you begin your trek the next early dawn, the next early morning, you begin to head out. And you think this mission is over. But it's only just begun. Because your trek home is also part of it. And as you begin to make your way, early dews of fog lend themselves just barely to the sounds of a small, yipping growl. And in the fog, you see orange fur begin to come out from the trees. And there we will end tonight's session. I kind of wanted to leave it on a cliffhanger, to kind of carry it into future sessions. I wanted to get you guys back to Lockhaven and then have like this reprisal of the Lost Guard, but I thought, I was like, you know what? The cool thing about Mouse Guard is that sessions don't have to end on achieve thing, end thing, achieve thing, end thing. Like the mission to get there and to get the item is one mission. And then the mission to come back with the item in hand is a completely other. So that in and of itself is something I wanted to show for the system. Like you can stop the game at any time and pick right back up from that point and continue it as if it was a brand new mission. So I'm super happy. Thank you guys so much for sticking with me, and I was aiming for right around 9 o'clock, so perfect timing for people on the East Coast like Lionel, who hasn't slept for more than an hour. I know it's almost midnight there, buddy, so I was trying to get you out. But for everybody at BrigadeCon, it is almost over. We have like in here who have stuck with everything for this whole time. You're beautiful. You're wonderful. Thank you for supporting and being with BrigadeCon. My name is Chad Nick. This is DM Gastro Gamer. So expect more games like this to come. If you liked it, awesome. And I will allow all of my fellow friends here to sort of give their outros and then kind of give a very brief impression of the game, because I'd like to get some feedback on there if you think I could do better or whatever, because this is my very first time running this game, so it'd be very nice to do that. And whether you want to do that in private or you want to say it publicly, that's fine by me too. Lionel, why don't you start, buddy, because I'll just do it that way.
Perfect. Yes. So I am Lionel. I'm half of Two Guys T and D&D YouTube channel that Harry and I run. And impressions of the game. One, Chad, thank you. I aspire to be as good as you. I love the game. And I love, too, that we're all fairly new to it and that we just rolled with it. We just wanted to have fun. We weren't worrying too much about, like, do we follow the rules as written?
Yeah, dude, because
so
like that was one of the things, is I was like, I'm probably completely screwing it up, and someone at home is probably going,
some rules like probably like coming out of their seat because
there's some butt fucking going on somewhere.
I had a blast. I would definitely play again, and I love the ending. Actually, I love the whole thing, but I definitely love how you ended it. Thanks,
man. Mark, go ahead.
I had a great time. I had bought this game probably about 4 or 5 months ago, and I've read through the book several times and never found people to play with yet, but have been wanting to play desperately. And I've looked on Roll20 for months and months, and there's just never any games, and I was very excited to see one show up here on BrigadeCon. So thank you. Thank you very much for doing this. I do have 2 children. One's 8 and one is 5. The 5 is probably a little young, but I think this game could be tailored for both of them, and we could have a whole lot of fun playing it. So I look forward to more sessions with this game with adults and children. And I thought you did a great job, so thank you much.
Thank you, man. I'm blown away with how well you guys handled not only your personal goals, but like really sticking to your beliefs in every character. Like the cool thing that I want to do, and this is something that maybe you guys will want to do in the future. I want to do actual like Mouse Guard creation sessions where the real beliefs and individual things all get developed at the same time, because that's how it's supposed to be done. Obviously, I grabbed like the box pre-gens that were already here and just kind of threw them at you guys. But I really want to go and do that and get people get Mouse Guard players that are going to be like full on brand new beliefs and all this kind of cool stuff. So, but thank you guys for this first run. It's awesome. Yeah, Harry, what's up, man?
Hey, so I'm Harry, the other half of Two Guys T and D&D, and that was an absolutely amazing game. I really like the system, like especially near the end, where I'm understanding how things work, and I kind of want to see Walton develop. I want to come back and play him. So yeah, thanks everyone for watching, and yeah, subscribe to chat.
Yeah, and thank you so much. And then finally, Bankbar, what's up, man?
Well, thanks, Chad, for running this. I'd seen it played once before, and I've got the Mice and Mystics board game and one of the graphic novels. So it was interesting to see it get played. I haven't actually read the graphic novel yet. Yeah, I'm typically a really heavy system mechanics player, so it was really good to. I'm always looking for something when I don't feel as heavy. You know what I'm saying? Always looking for something.
I know exactly what you're saying. Yeah, you want something that's a little bit lighter flavor than a lot of the other systems that you play, probably.
Right, exactly. Whereas at the same time, it also can't go too far. It can't be Toon. If anyone's actually played Toon, I have. That was not my system. So yeah, I really like, and if I understand, this is like Burning Wheel.
Yeah, it's basically the Burning Wheel system. And you can, if anybody's interested, burningwheel.com, I believe, is the actual like forum based thing you can go to and check out all the stuff. There's a huge forum of players there that have like advice, that have like already pre-created stuff, like pre-created new lands and new worlds within the territory. There's basically a ton of fan fiction you can kind of play around with and do stuff with, right? It's not necessarily canon to what David Peterson does, but it's like it's something that you can totally use. I love it.
Yeah. So it's I really like how it brings in beliefs and instincts and things like that. Yeah, I think it's a system to look into a bit more.
Yeah, for sure. But thank you guys so much for hanging out with me and playing around with me. Once again, I know I've harped on this pretty much all day, on every single session that I've opened and closed today. It is 9:01, which means BrigadeCon is technically officially over, but not by my standards, because I'm going to go all the way till midnight. No, I'm just joking. But really, thank you guys so much. This is all about kids. This is all about Child's Play. This is all about making the very, very best content that we can to present to you guys, and then on top of it, to present to the kids. If you haven't donated, please go down and click that donate button like you're a mad scientist, and just keep hitting it and hitting it and hitting it over and over and over again. Right now, I looked at it just a couple minutes ago before the game. We were at 1515.
Yeah, I saw that we were over 15 or 1600 at some point.
It's 1525 now, Chad.
1525. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yes.
Awesome.
Another $10 since I looked at it. I am so happy. My game donated $10 to you guys. That's awesome. But thanks, guys. I'm not going to keep you guys any longer. But if you guys want to check out any more of my content, obviously you guys can check out Shadnick, K-N-I-C-K, on YouTube right here. Or you can go to gastrogamer.org, where I do game reviews for children with disabilities, and I do a lot of accessibility reviews for companies so that they can know what kind of needs to be done to make the video gaming and tabletop gaming community more accessible for lots of different players. Thanks, guys. I had a blast. I'm going to shut the broadcast off right now, and then we'll be good.